Hello and welcome to another episode of Ethnobotany. In this episode we'll cover a paper from the UCL by Dr. Low. In this episode we'll cover the medical uses of medical spice bags in China. Let's begin. In historic times, spices were used in ancient China for both food and medicine purposes. In the ancient book dating back to the 6th century BC, called the Book of Rites, which involved tying a container of spice to a young person's leg as a protective measure. Archaeologists have also found remnants of spice bags in dig sites that date back to the Han Dynasty, which lasted from 202 BCE to 220 CE. These were found in tombs within that area. In other dig sites, they found remnants of larger spice bags attached to furniture and decoration, and there are also written records of smaller spice bags used to protect children, specifically infants, in their sleeping areas. It is speculated that these are love charms, although these infant spice bags only existed in these records, as far as we know. During the previous Zhao era, there's extensive writing about spice bags as well. The book on the subject of that time, Mr. Liu's Spring and Autumn, fully compiled in 239 BCE by Mr. Liu Bui. I'm definitely mispronouncing his name, but I don't think he'll mind because he lived from 290 BCE to 235 BCE. He was a minister to the king of the Qin, and later the first emperor of China. Mr. Liu was the minister of this king and emperor, and cook. He learned of medicine and cooking from a Taoist priest named Yai Yin, the ruler of Tang, who taught him the art of culinary alchemy and the obtainment of the perfect flavor. I'll put the full account here as a image. It's just so cool the way it's described. Much of this seems to be more related to cooking than medicine, but there's heavy religious significance to these spice bags, as they were used to feed the spirits of dead ancestors, and as sacrificial elements as well for older Chinese religions. Now on to its history of hygiene. In 186 BCE, and prior to that, part of the cultivation of the body was personal hygiene. This involved rising in the morning, eliminate the water and scrub the hands, rinse the mouth, brush your teeth, and knock your teeth. Unfasten your hair, and stroll to the end of the hall to meet the purest dew in order to receive the essence of heaven. And afterwards, drink 1 cup of water. Afterwards, enter the palace from evening until greater midnight. And these were the instructions of the elite within China of that time period. Spice bags were also used to scent water, specifically a herb called Yan. During that time period, the current scientific name for this herb is called Eupatrium fortunei. For European and North American audiences, it's called Japanese Joe Pyeweed. Later records suggested that Japanese Joe Pyeweed had the power to remove toxins from the body, in addition to its aesthetic and hygienic properties. And in older Chinese mythology, divine beings would also bathe within bath water made from this herb. Other examples of hygiene spices include a species of lilac that was given to an elderly minister by one Han emperor because that elderly minister had bad halitosis. Now on to the sources for these spices during the early era of China. There are many books on spices in ancient times that have been kept alive to this day. They first appeared in the Song Dynasty between 960 CE to 1127 CE, with 4 editions surviving to this time period. The first is called the Monograph on Spices, which is written by Hong Chu, who lived between 1066 to 1127 CE. The supplement on Monograph on Spices, which has 1 volume rather than 2 like the previous one, was written by Anonymous, and its date was unknown. The next book is called Chen's Monograph on Spices, which had 4 volumes and the Historical Records of Spices, which had 28 volumes. The punitive author of the last two books was Chen Jing, who lived in the Song Dynasty era between 1127 CE and 1179 CE, and Zhao Jizhao, who lived from 1582 CE to 1661 CE. These books contain a great knowledge of both foreign and native spices within that area. And from that information, we can decipher that there's heavy overlap between the purpose of spices and the purpose of medicine. Now into the spice bags within the Han tombs. In January 16th, 1972, archaeologists of the Hunan Provincial Museum excavated the tomb of the Western Han Dynasty, which lasted between 206 BCE to 8 CE. After the excavation was completed, over 1,000 well-preserved items were excavated and catalogued, revolutionizing many of our understandings of ancient Chinese philosophy, astronomy, governance, and medicine. Within one of the tombs lay Lady Dai, the wife of a prominent lord in the old southern region of Zhou within China. Within the mummified remains of this body, 2 spice bags were found, one on the left hand and one on the right. Another 4 spice bags were also found, amongst other burial objects, and were filled with a great amount of different spices, much of which can be seen on this image. And these bags seem to be filled to the brim with this stuff. They even found a pillow stuffed with spices, specifically Japanese Joe Pye weed. Now onto the various medicines that were used by this culture based on this information. In one of the Han period tombs, several texts were discovered, including a book called Prescriptions for 52 Diseases. This book dates to 168 BCE. This book lists a proto-medicinal philosophy that seems to be the root of the medical system we see in the 2nd century BCE. These writings did not have full potencies of these different medical plants listed, but they did combine different aspects and associate each plant with 5 agents: wood, fire, earth, metal, and water, with each part associated with healing different parts of the body. Here's a list of the plants written about within this book. The herb Quinjiao and Chujiao, which I'm definitely mispronouncing, my apologies to whoever is watching, refer to a Xanthoxylum species, either Xanthoxylum aurantum or Xanthoxylum bergantum, both of which are used in contemporary China. The former is called winged prickly ash, the latter is called Szechuan pepper. The next 2 herbs are called Mugli and Zhengyi. Once again, my apologies to any native Chinese speakers. These herbs represent different parts of the same plant. Specifically, it's a Simmons species, but it's unknown what type of Simmons species it is, although it's likely to be common camphor. The herb Golpai, which again I may be mispronouncing, is likely derived from the cassia tree. The other plant is called Quinjiao, and is said to have the ability to cure flatulence, grow your hair back, strengthen your teeth, and give you better skin, and extend your lifespan. Shujiao is said to have the ability to treat coughs and bad joints and skin diseases, and have similar properties to the previous herb. Mugai is said to be used to treat vomiting and treating joint pain, and Jungai is said to treat many illnesses and enhance other medicines. And based on all this information that they obtained from that book, most medicines were used to enhance longevity and spiritual strength, with later herbal medicine books being more detailed about their methods. But the spiritual aspect of spice bags remained important. In fact, a book called Ling Yang's Secret Remedies referred to an individual named Ling Yang who became immortal through dietary practice. And there's several spice bag remedies used specifically to conjure and control spirits. Well, that covers everything. Thank you for watching.